Rob Barnett at the Broadcast Center here in New York, where we continue to follow breaking news from the Senate. By now, the chamber has dismissed both articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Let's get right to our congressional correspondent, Scott MacFarlane, who's in Capitol Hill watching all of this. As expected, Scott, this is the destination we knew was a foregone conclusion. How exactly did we get here?
Yeah, you're watching 100 people about to get out of jury duty. This was the trajectory from the jump. They were going to move past this as quickly as possible. Democrats made that a priority, saying just having an impeachment trial sets a bad precedent because they have argued from the start that this is a policy debate that Republicans weaponized and mobilized into an impeachment proceeding. The impeachment managers who walked over those articles yesterday through the Capitol that alleged willful and systemic failures by Alejandro Mayorkas to follow the law, that alleged a breach of trust, those 11 managers didn't present a case today, didn't make an argument, didn't show evidence. Democrats, using their majority in the U.S. Senate, were able to snuff out the Republicans' efforts to have an impeachment trial. So 3 hours or so in Washington, D.C. time is as long as these 100 senators will sit as jurors. Alejandro Mayorkas, notwithstanding that, is the second cabinet member ever to be impeached by the U.S. House and have impeachment articles presented to the U.S. Senate, and the first since the late 1800s. The open question now that Democrats are asking as they make a political argument is, does this set a precedent for future years, future Congresses, and future administrations where impeachments will become more common?
And Scott, we understand that as viewers watch the upper chamber, right now they're taking part in a vote to adjourn this trial formally. So this thing is officially wrapping up. And you sit back and wonder what Republicans have accomplished. We've spoken about how challenging it was in the House for House Speaker Mike Johnson to get an approval vote on the articles of impeachment themselves. That took 2 rounds. Now we get to the Senate and it all fizzles out. I wonder what the outcome is of this for the current House Speaker.
Now, the U.S. House Speaker is navigating one of the most fragile majorities in memory, certainly the most fragile in recent times. He has a margin that is almost invisibly small, and he has pressure from hardline Republicans, 2 of whom are coming for his job, to do more to pass border security law or get border security provisions into other things, including this new aid package they released that would fund Ukraine and fund Israel. The dynamic doesn't change. He did win some goodwill, presumably, win some support by allowing his Freedom Caucus members and Homeland Security Committee to plow forward and impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. But this the summarily dismissed impeachment proceeding in the U.S. Senate doesn't stop that fundamental dynamic. He has a narrow margin to navigate. He has Republicans who want him ousted, and they are all still eager and fighting to talk about border security.
And as I just look at the messages coming across our desk here, it seems as though Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, will speak to the press in a short amount of time. Democrats apparently also House Democrats getting ready to speak publicly also. Considering everything you've just laid out, Scott, what might we expect to hear from both sides today?
Now, this really becomes a secondary issue, this impeachment of the Homeland Security Secretary, because there has been a pivotal moment in the U.S. House otherwise, where the House Speaker has released a long-awaited and long-stalled aid package for Ukraine and Israel. $60 billion plus for Ukraine that the administration said was needed in December 2023. The money for Israel after the weekend attacks from Iran have new importance here. And the president saying he'd support that package is so pivotal because it gives that pathway for Democrats to join and get an overall tonnage of votes in favor. As I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, there are House Democrats predicting 300 plus votes await these bills to fund Ukraine and fund Israel, notwithstanding what impact this could have on Speaker Johnson's future, because the Republicans who've been calling for him to resign or leave his post specifically opposed cutting deals with Democrats and, in one case, funding Ukraine.
And as viewers will know, Scott, those votes, those bills are long awaited. Those are highly anticipated items of legislation the government needs to address, as is the topic of border security. When we heard from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell earlier. He spoke about there being a need for debate in the Senate on the topic of impeachment, which now has been moved to the side. Will Republicans still look for a platform to address this issue?
They will look for one and they will find one. There are any number of issues involving the nation's homeland security and migrant crisis where Republicans are going to have a chance to plant the flag and raise their voices. You have to fund the government for 2025. It's a process that will consume a lot of the months between now and Election Day. They can make arguments for border agents, border security, border technology, and the border wall championed by Donald Trump. There is the campaign, not just for the White House, but senators trying to win seats from Democrats who today, even though they represent red states, were in line with their party to get rid of this impeachment article against Alejandro Mayorkas. Democrats running for re-election in the red states of Ohio, Montana, in the purple states of Wisconsin, running for election in Arizona, will all have this issue to argue between now and November. But I'll add one note. I think it's important to emphasize this, Errol. This was litigated as a primary issue in the special election on Long Island in early February, in a competitive seat, a competitive race to replace the expelled Congressman George Santos. The Democrat in that race would not let border security be a liability. He argued it, saying Democrats were willing to move on border security, that Republicans are holding it back to help Donald Trump. And he won that seat by a margin that exceeded expectations.
Well, Scott, that leads me to my final question with you as we wrap up what's been, almost marathon coverage of this proceeding. What will you be listening for when we hear from House Speaker Johnson here in the hour and Democrats, as far as maybe clues as to how each side might reposition its argument coming into the election?
I think when the House Speaker is going to try to explain the pathway he has navigated, or he believes he's navigated, to get all this money approved. It's been held up and stalled for 4 months because that pathway was not clear. He thinks he's found one now. We're eager to hear what commitments he's gotten or what sense he's gotten gives him the way to maneuver through it. But part of that pathway may be because he is also offering up another vote on a different bill about border security. It has provisions Democrats summarily opposed the last time they were issued in 2023. Where is he going with that? And what stakes does that have in the overall foreign aid package? It's a key question he's going to face, and we do hope to hear some answers.
All right, viewers should stay close to CBS News. Scott MacFarlane there, giving us every twist and turn on this wild GPS route today from Capitol Hill. Thank you so much.